Alrighty, I might learn to regret this, but pretty much all my stories are level 1 now, except for the cases where it wasn't possible to. We got a whole new goddamn lineup of the many ones I've been picking up since, and so we got new people to check out. A lot of these people are at level 1 and 2, so it's kind of reasonable to try lower level stories on them, but I don't know, we'll see. We'll see if I'm able to level these new stories up enough and finish off the remaining people with this one. Let's see, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. We'll see. Or if I just decide to expedite things by going back to the previous stories. Because yeah, mechanically there's not a lot of reason to use the West Coast stories. Any player that sticks to the game this long is likely to have finished accumulating a series of high-level stories from the East Coast, and because they're all category-based, getting more doesn't really help. The sheer quantity of them, there being 237 apparently, just doesn't really factor in as like a thing that's worth engaging in on a mechanical level. It's purely your curiosity about the stories. But I'd like to indulge. I've probably already been here before. Yeah, yes I have. In Denver, Colorado. This will be a fun memory test of can I remember what these stories are.
It started around the time we would harvest corn. During this season, the Army of the United States of America raided our lands, burned our homes and crops, and killed off our livestock. The Army told my parents that those who did not surrender would be killed or face death in the harsh winter weather, and so my parents surrendered. Thankfully, I was a strong young girl when we were forced to walk over 300 miles to Huildi, or Bosque Redondo, New Mexico territory. I witnessed the death of many of our people, from the wise and caring elderly to the beautiful pregnant women to young babes who were shown no mercy by the U.S. Army. Chicas, my friend, I need to laugh. Can you tell me such a story?
Sounds like she was on the Trail of Tears. Oh, something funny. Why is Quinn's Adventures on here? Huh. Newspaper. The made-up stock prices to stave off depression. That's kind of funny, isn't it? They're skipped out on his bill. That's a comedy story, isn't it? Asked his question, then he skipped out on his bill. Yep.
That one made me smile. You told it well. Oh, the choices they made. It was grieving to see the humanity in some of the soldiers slowly being drained and crippled. To this day, it surprises me the lengths one is willing to go to ensure the wicked ways of this invasive, demanding country. Chicas, my friend, tell me a funny story. I am sure you hear many on the road.
She's getting a little tonal whiplash here. She sounds so happy to get a funny story, but she's so unhappy. The cowboy who rode into a storm. He's gonna end up lassoing a tornado, I'm pretty sure, by the time that the story gets finished. It sounds familiar. Although it might have happened on the Cowboys of Moo Mesa or something. I don't know. But that's a thrilling story, I'm sure. I need a funny story. Last ball. Abandoned farmhouse. The drunkard lineman. That's not so much funny. I think I equipped the one with the lady who's hiding under her house from her cows, which I'm pretty sure is funny. If I can find that. Dreams in a cotton field. The corn farmer and his children. That's the one, yeah, I was just watching them hang out. I don't remember what the context of that one was, though. Shit. The guitar player who believed. Fortune teller curse. A lost ring around Billings. That's kind of funny. She lost her ring, and then I found it, and the reveal was that actually she threw it in to make a wish.
I did not take much from this story. Perhaps different things bring each of us hope. Luck? Sometimes I would look into the soul of some of those ill-fated people, and I would still see a breath of kindness and goodwill. Surely they aren't all doomed, or else there's no hope for the days ahead. Shikis, my friend, can you tell me a story that brings strength to those who hear it?
Insult to injury. I tell her a story, and the reveal is that what I thought was funny is apparently a hopeful story, so we learned that. And then she asks for a hopeful story. I'm like, oh, god damn it. I just told you a hopeful story. But it didn't count at the right time. The bridge builders in Vermont. Aren't those the guys that fly? Or they say that they fly? And that there's storm birds nearby? There's a lot of similar-ish ones. It's always difficult. Something that brings hope. Then it makes sense of the poison. Old Barney the Scarecrow. That one's distressing. Taking on strikers is sad. Raven that tells stories, I think, is supposed to be a comedy. Louis Ames' violin seemed funny. I don't know. A little girl swore at me. Those are the people that beat me up and stole my money. Feuding architects is funny. Kind of. But I need hopeful. If I can't find one, I'll tell her about the brothers, I suppose. This might be hopeful too. just a couple of girls happily hanging out in a haunted place. Problem is the story focused on the haunting or the girls? Let's find out. And then try to remember afterwards, which is the hard part.
The deep
Yay.
are like that too. Strong in the face of adversity. That story brings me hope. Sometimes I found myself wondering if all Bilagans are this way, violent and surrendering to ways of untamed animals. And where do they come from? Do they touch all things with such distaste? Or do they know kindness and tenderness? Chickas, my friend, tell me a funny story. I am sure you hear many on the road.
Back to funny. This will be yeah, let's find out whether or not the Raven's a funny story. Talking Raven. You should tell Raven stories, right?
It's good to laugh. The past? Ha! They say time heals all wounds. But what about the trauma and harrowing memories from the long walk to Hawilde that will be passed on to our future generations? Chickas, my friend, can you tell me a story that looks to the future with hope?
I can certainly try. But I went that far looking for those. Oh, the dead boy in the grain silo. The Lost Washington Street. Shit, I already forgot what the Lost Washington Street's category was. We kind of confirmed it earlier. A lot of men getting shot and being left to die. The hopeful one's the molasses, I suppose. If I can't find another one. Hey, there's the woman who hid from her cows. The last-born buffalo. Let's do the molasses. That might finish. That might turn this into a win, despite the fact that it's gone this far.
That was a good story.
Hey,
It pleases me to hear about people taking strength from each other, or from the land, or from themselves. Joy? It was hard to find any harmony or peace of mind in those days. The morning sun was often the only sign of warmth or hope left in the world. And now, the sun is rising. I must prepare to leave. I have a long walk this way. Tonight I wondered, what memory do we carry in our blood? What will be passed on to our children through the power of witnessing and feeling the harsh flecks of humanity like sparks from a fire landing against the skin? I am left wondering what will become of our culture and our people once this cycle of inhumanity has run its course. We sing our way through it and look to the holy people for strength and protection. There is an overwhelming vitality in our songs. What songs help you to heal and persevere, Chickus?
Hey, the last story made us win. It's a drag from the previous coast. But it's what we needed. She's either in her final chapter or her penultimate chapter now. Which is not great for me because I'm not really prepared to deal with that. Thankfully she's heading west though, so I don't have to go back east. That's the fear, is going back east. Hey there. You recognize the story she's telling. Story about the trickster raven who preys on travelers. It's clearly a story of the raven and the salmon, but changed in a few entertaining ways. Isn't that something? Now it's a trickster raven, so I think it's still staying funny. It's just a worrying sort of funny. Can I just do that? Not quite. I think warping somewhere else and back led to the thing respawning. This will take me all the way to Miami. Just to double check. Ooh, frame rate. Up, 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 up. There we go. Listen to this. Works his way through a long and strange story about the ring which grants wishes. It's the ring of Sauron. Sauron. Not the ring. Not the ring of Saruman. Saruman doesn't have a ring. Or did he? He might have also had a ring. I don't know. I don't think so. He had an orb. Yeah, so you have to go sufficiently far away for it to unload, and then it reloads and refreshes. But yeah, I can't, even though it does let you teleport to the place you're already at, it won't refresh this thing in the meantime. So I was telling you the story about the girl who searched for haunted houses. You realize almost instantly that he's telling a new version of the tale, The Two Girls to the Haunted House, with new exciting over-the-top details. So the girls that want haunted houses. Does it still count as hopeful? Because they're ghost chasers. Look at them, dar ghost chasers. They're crazy. I'll do this one more go around real quick. This exploitable teleport thing's gonna go away the moment I leave Denver, because everything west of here is uncharted. Just give me a little boost. Telling you the story about the grifter who pretends to be a reporter to cadge free drinks. It's not a word I'm used to encountering. You realize almost instantly it's this. Yep. Now it's the grifter who pretends to be a reporter so they can get a free drink, which, I mean, technically might not even be inaccurate. That might have just been what actually happened to me. Nope, it's not back this time. Maybe that's all the backlog I get to have right now. Maybe. Oh, it's trying to load. You can do it, game. I believe in you. We good? There you go. Oh, there's a river here. Gonna make it a little hard for me. There you go. Seems I'm going west after all. It certainly appears that this river is impassable. Hey, wow, he stopped instantly. That's convenient. Everything kind of worked out perfectly, where I just kind of whistled a bit, which gave me just a little bit of a speed boost to just barely put my finger up, just barely catch the car right on the tip. Probably gonna go further west than I intended, though. Oh well. Just roll with it, right? Oh. Right, I've been near here before. Believe I've been down to Arizona. Yeah, we're gonna go southeast. Yep. Yeah, there's the crossing. Yeah, I've been to this I've been to Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City, the creepy city. Just get me across. There she is. Is she already gonna be in power mode? Might have to leave her for now if she is. I think I got down here before and I think I died somewhere near here the one time it's happened. Or maybe maybe that was when I warped back. There's the next person on the horizon though. Already.
We were fortunate. We persevered. Everyone lost someone, and by the end of it, we all felt like we had lost everything. Thousands of people covered such a small portion of land. Our people were not used to living in such conditions. That is where we learned how to make fry bread from the rations given to us from the United States Army. Things at Tawildi only got worse as time progressed. And then we were given permission to return back to our sacred ancestral lands. We were told to be grateful for signing such a deal with the U.S. government, but we couldn't help but feel nervous about returning home. Would the land remember us? As great a distance as we were from the 4 sacred mountains, I never truly did feel separated from the birthplace of first man and first woman. Some swore they could see Tadulza off in the distance, and sometimes I really could see turquoise radiating from the top of the mountain toward the cushion of the sky. No one could have imagined the journey homeward would be harder, but we had no choice. The holy people were calling us home. Shikis, my friend, can you tell me a story that looks to the future with hope?
I can try. Our chances are not looking great, because I'm all low level again, intentionally so, which may not be the best choice, but you know, we want to keep engaging with the story mechanics, right? Because otherwise I could just go beat this game relatively quickly without doing any more of the leveling of stories, but that's kind of a bummer too. I don't know. I'm a little torn. A hopeful story. It's a funny story. The Last Buffalo. I don't know how to categorize this one yet. This was a weird one, but it might be hopeful.
Oh, I don't have it in my heart to enjoy this story. Our home. They said we were fortunate to return to our sacred homeland. Not every tribe has been allowed the same form of peace and renewal with these unreasonable people. But madness creates the illusion of ownership and responsibility over a proud people who were guided here with the blessings of the holy people. Shikis, my friend, can you tell me a story that brings strength to those who hear it?
I think bring strength to those who hear it and hopeful story mean the same thing, technically. There's only 5 categories according to the tutorial message I read. She was very unhelpful though. She said she doesn't have the heart to enjoy it, and she didn't explain what the story means to her, which is unhelpful. Came home to found their girl getting married is probably not hopeful. This is pretty hopeful. Bit of a cheat because it's an old story from the old region, but
The Dine are like that too, strong in the face of adversity. That story brings me hope. Family, we come from a line of warriors. We have always known how to be resourceful and resilient. From the seeds of corn that we found on our way back home, to the sheep that we heard on the mesa, to staring the colonizers in the face, we pushed forward against the odds. Shikis, my friend, can you tell me a story that looks to the future with hope?
as silly as it sounds, I would love to have loadouts in this game. Like a high-level loadout and a low-level loadout that I can switch between without having to manually switch between all of, like, what, the 48 stories I have equipped. It'd be nice to have a bit more of a... writing that a hopeful story. I don't know, is this a hopeful story? The weird tent city? Weirdly clean? I don't know what to call that.
This story is very frightening. I do not understand how you can enjoy it.
I don't understand what makes it frightening. Can you tell me?
The future? We worried. We weren't sure what the land would look like once we returned. We heard they had placed us at Hawilide so they could violate our homelands and break us. But in spite of their examinations, the land has remembered us like an ancient mother. Shikis, my friend, can you tell me a story that brings strength to those who hear it?
Maybe I don't remember something about the original story, or maybe the story will become more overtly horrific as it goes on, because right now I'm not sure what's scary about it. Brings strength to those who hear it. The Pigeon Keeper's scary, isn't it? Let's find out. He never seems to want to know scary stories.
And you enjoy this story. It is too dark for me, Shikis. We kept our tradition alive, so we remembered to extend gratitude and compassion. We remembered to celebrate who we are as people, to love the land, and to thank the holy people, and to take care of what is around us. This is what we know as a people, and this is what we have to teach the Bilagan. Shikis, my friend, I need to laugh. Can you tell me such a story?
A funny story. I got one of those. We'll make a little progress here.
It's good to laugh. Joy. Well, the water was not like the water from Titsil. When the children played, it was a different type of laughter and movement. We learned how to become reliant on one another and to find pleasure in such small things. The sun has risen. It is time for us to part. I must make my journey across the land this way. I hope I can see you there once more. I have been lucky to share my story with you, Shikis. But there's still so much to tell about what happened when we returned to the Dinepekaya.
Not quite there. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that to go great. Is that just her? That's her just right there. I should probably just get it over with. Just do the micromanagement of equipping some low-level stories, even though it's high-level stories. It's just switching back and forth is super cumbersome and time-consuming, unfortunately. Works its way through a long and strange story about the spectral riders who hunt the ghosts of buffalo. Oh. Spectral riders that hunt buffalo ghosts. It is getting more dark. I could have interpreted it as being funny or hopeful, almost. The way I threw it across the border, and then I think it roared back and all that. It was like both kind of funny and triumphant, especially triumphant, like a thriller story or a hopeful story. Thriller because of the chase, hopeful because of the victory. But I guess it's a scary story. And I think that's becoming more clear now that we know that it's like spooky ghosts chasing the last buffalo's spirit. There's not really any upsides to that. Off to Santa Fe. Alright, here she is. She likes hopeful stories and funny stories. I might as well take care of it, because I'll have to come quite a ways back to revisit her again. Let's try to stick to only one side of this screen if I can. That's a funny story. That's a hopeful story. That's a funny story. Wow, that entire category is all those. I probably spent them all on her already. That's hopeful. That's funny. That might be the compromise. Make like the entire left side one and the entire right side the other. It does blind me to certain kinds of stories, but it gives me a less micromanagey way of having the ability to progress some of the stories while still having high-level ones in my pocket for otherwise. Maybe that'll be my compromise for a bit. I'm a little torn. Unfortunately, the game's just kind of full of systems that are like slightly a pain in the ass. There's a lot of there's a lot of different ways to handle everything about how this whole thing works here. This interface, the way it handles stories, everything about that. Problem here is how does it are these the left side stories and those ones the right side stories, or I'm not sure if there even is a left or right. No, this is a right side story. Shit. I actually don't know which icons are on the left versus the right. I'm gonna take a break for a second. Okay, I've tried. So just give an idea how messy this is, trying to convert from one to the other. So here's all I made all the left side stories as high level as possible. But here's the left side story. So it's this one down here. This is the one that's in the top left normally during the other screen is this guy right here, the middle bottom right. Then it's this one. But then it's this one. 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 And then it's that one. So as you imagine, it's a little, just another element of this being confusing. So all those ones are vaguely high level, and all the ones that are on, all the remaining ones are the spells, are the stories that are on the right side of the conversation screen, and those are mostly low level ones. That's kind of a compromise. It'll help me deal with the fact that I'm going to be dealing with a variety of people that keep going from like level 1, 2, and 3 while I'm trying to progress. I don't know. Management. Let's see if I can do this time.
We meet once again, Shikis, my friend. I am glad. Have you come to hear the final part of my story about what happened when we returned to Dinbakaya, our homeland? Shikis, my friend, I need to laugh. Can you tell me such a story?
Now the smart thing would have been to specifically specialize in funny stories and hopeful stories, but I went with this left-right thing because the idea is that hopefully I can then continue forward without recustomizing again while sort of kind of accomplishing both of my goals to at least halfway. It's something. That's the hope. But of course, you have to worry about that. I've already told her these. Not the Creole one, though. The eye isn't even a little bit open. What?
It's good to laugh. Our home. They said we were fortunate to return to our sacred homeland.
Okay, so it was probably bugging out. Now it's fully open. Okay, so now I can just tell her whatever and level things up.
Not every tribe has been allowed the same form of peace and renewal with these unreasonable people. But madness creates the illusion of ownership and responsibility over a proud people who were guided here with the blessings of the holy people. Shikis, my friend, can you tell me a story that brings strength to those who hear it?
So now we've succeeded, I'll focus on stories I don't understand. So Dead Man sounds like a sad one, generally speaking. I wish I could unequip Quinn, but I think that this is a category where I don't have anything else left. I gotta remember what Casey Jones is. Is Casey Jones just hopeful?
Oh, I don't have it in my heart to enjoy this story. There are a few things I've learned in this life, and one of them is that the path you travel down will always bring you back home. Our people learned this during the treacherous 300-mile-long walk of our people. Chickas, my friend, tell me a funny story. I am sure you hear many on the road.
All of our conversations are so dark, and then she's like, "Tell me a funny story." it's quite the back and forth. The sugarcane farmer that killed a cutter every night to ensure a good harvest. I'll level it at least. I'm sure this is just a dark story.
This story is very frightening. I do not understand how you can enjoy it. Our choices? If we are to survive, the only option we have is to continue down the pollen path. Even in the face of drought, disease, or the encroaching bee laganas and their childish ways. Chickas, my friend, tell me a funny story. I am sure you hear many on the road.
I don't know. I have no idea what category the dreams are. Come on, give me a hint. Give me a hint.
I did not take much from this story. Perhaps different things bring each of us hope.
It's a hopeful story. I think it was a dream about a birth, wasn't it?
Heaven. They believe in the beauty way. We live our lives maintaining a delicate balance with the world. It is our livelihood. And because we pay reverence to who we are as a people, we have not faced the same fate as the Anasazi, whose ruins we have seen among the rocks. Chicas, my friend, I need to laugh. Can you tell me such a story?
The guitar player who believed. What category is this? Hope?
That one made me smile. You told it well.
That's a funny story.
Faith? Well, as soon as we saw Zutzel, we realized there was a power to returning home. Our story doesn't end here. The story is still being told. As long as our language, culture, and traditions are alive and evolving, we are actively telling the story of who we are and where we have come from. But for now, the story of Hawilti is finished. With beauty may I walk. With beauty before me may I walk. With beauty behind me may I walk. With beauty above me may I walk. With beauty all around me may I walk. It is finished in beauty. It is finished in beauty.
Goodbye, Dahlia. And goodbye, Santa Fe. That actually might take me where I want to go. Yeah. I can meet a few different people if I head down there. So the idea here is that my right side of the screen will become a rotating place for leveling stories, and the left side will be my leveled ones. But of course, because they're in rigid categories, that does mean that like half the stories I get from here on out might not level up. But that said, there's only 5 characters left out of 16. It's less than a third. So restarting the entire leveling process, just for the sake of it, would definitely balloon this out. Got a few. I've said it plenty already, but I definitely got some mixed feelings about some of the systems here. On one hand, you would think I'd want to just flesh out the stories just for the sake of them, but because you don't get to hear the final version of each story, it kind of makes me less interested in leveling them up. But to some extent, when you have the mechanical incentive going away because you already have other leveled stories that fill the same role, there's not really a need for more. Whereas it'd be kind of its own reward if when you finished said stories, you would then, like at level 3, get to actually hear the new crazy version of the story that's so divergent from the one that you started with. There's Mexico. Apparently Mexico doesn't have any towns in it. It's just a barren nothing. No farmland, no towns, just a couple of plateaus.
A Chevy sedan laden with suitcases chugs to a stop beside you. A woman leans out the window. An infant screaming, and 2 boys are punching each other in the back seat.
Could you drive us for a while? I gotta feed the baby, but we need to keep moving. I could pay you.
Sure.
You grip the wheel tight as sounds of chaos fill the car. The boys have begun to wrestle in earnest on the Chevy's bench.
Llorona!
Their mother hisses. Both boys straighten instantly. In the mirror, you see their stricken expressions. The only sound is the baby's soft suckling.
Ask about Llorona.
You direct the question to the boys in the back, but they don't make a sound. Their eyes are wide and frightened. Patting the infant on the back, their mother chuckles. The boys don't speak another word, even when you part ways down the road.
Ah, that's totally gonna turn into a story about a magic spell that controls children that misbehave. Or something like that, probably. But instead it was probably just like just something that has some weight to it, I'm sure. Just telling everyone in the party about a story about the killer pigeons. The pigeon keeper. Yep, that was definitely always gonna go in that direction, one way or another. El Paso. There's a dusty haze hanging over this strange, tense city. The Rio Grande carves a barrier between you and Juarez. You can see folks on the opposite bank. Wonder what stories they're collecting over there.
There's a wallet on the ground where the alley joins the street, stuffed with bills. You pick it up and glance around, spotting a man on his hands and knees in the alley.
Excuse me, I appear to have lost my glasses.
He sheepishly admits. They're on the ground just behind him. You snag them before he crushes them with an errant knee.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
He scans the alley.
You, didn't find my wallet too, did you?
His face lights up.
Oh, thank you.
He turns, then hesitates.
You know, I had a ticket to see the new movie at the plaza. Not in the mood after this. Please, take it. For your help.
Your seat is plush and comfortable. The crowd chats excitably around you. You settle in for the movie. The first few scenes play out fairly predictably. It appears to be a romantic comedy about golf. The crowd seems largely disinterested, their prior enthusiasm muted. Abruptly, the scene shifts from the dancing and grand ceremony to a shot of a grubby alley. People start sitting up in their seats. It takes you a second to realize you're looking at yourself. You stoop to pick up the wallet, then see the man. The crowd grows tense as you hand him his glasses. The audience cheers as you hand over the wallet. The applause spreads like a brush fire. People start leaping to their feet, turning to look at you. Their approbation continues for far longer than is comfortable.
Spooky. It's a morality play. It shows you your own behavior right back at you. What an outcome. That could have gone really poorly for me if they knew that I'd done naughty. But also, boy, they're really excited about people's behaviors lining up to code, apparently.